If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. And you can make money from your podcast without any minimum amount of listeners. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download your free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Hi, good evening. I'm Corrine McCabe, also known as Kay, and I am hosting the call tonight for Real Girlfriends Across America. We are a company that has a foundation and mission to build lifelong friendships with women across the globe. We will be bringing you hot topics each night, and we are always on the lookout for new topics. Follow us on Facebook at Real Girlfriends Across America and head to our website, realgirlfriends.org. Now, tonight I have on the call with me Corinne, Tawanda, and a host of other girlfriends, and today our topic is going to explore business and the times. Now, this year, 2020, has been a very interesting year. I'm pretty sure that we can all agree. Now, prior to 2020, nearly all of us have had high hopes for the potential of this year. Even with the weight of the hopes of millions across the globe, it seems that trouble after trouble has descended. War, sickness, toilet paper famine, tragic and senseless deaths. We've hit June, and many people might wonder if there are still more tragedies to come. Many people have lost jobs, and many businesses have been shut down. So how do you survive in an atmosphere so caustic and difficult to survive in? Tonight we're going to discuss 10 survival strategy techniques to make it through these tough times. Now, I want to ask you guys, I want to ask each and every one of you, first before we begin, what are your thoughts? What were your hopes and dreams for 2020? And how are things different now than what you thought they would have been? And we'll get started with caller 0261.
Sorry, I had to think about my phone number for a second. Okay, and
Hi, Corinne.
Hello, it's Corinne. And I apologize. What was the question?
The question is, how is 2020? What were your hopes and dreams for 2020, and how are things different from what you would have hoped they might have been?
I definitely my whole year did change. So I definitely was doing something else before everything did end. I'm still doing my business, so I'm still doing that aspect, and still am able to work from home. So that part didn't change. But I was also dealing with a client that had event space. So me working with their event space, that ended because obviously the industry shut down. And at this moment, I'm not sure what they're going to do moving forward. I do have my own, things that I'm doing. So it did open up other lanes and other opportunities for me. So I managed and did what I need to do to, deal with the changes.
That's good. That's good. Caller ending in 5834, your name and where you're calling from, and your hopes and dreams for 2020 and how they're different now than what you would have thought.
This is Tawanda, and I'm kind of like Corinne. I'm not used to that last 4 digits of the number because I'm not sure what it is. I think that's the number. Well, yeah, this is Tawanda, and state is D.C. metro area. And it's so funny you asked that particular question because I was writing something today and I was talking about the pandemic and I was talking about how in November I was looking forward to the new year and I was like, oh my gosh, it's not just going to be a new year, it's actually going to be a new decade. And normally around the first month of the year I usually do the dream board and all this amazing things with different groups of people. And I was so super excited. And then when 2020 came, things just seemed a little funny. And after about 6 or 7 weeks into the new decade, we started hearing about the pandemic and so on and so forth. So it definitely put a huge damper on even now, being in June, because things are still modified. A lot of things are still closed. People are not really traveling. So what I've had to do is understand that life is about change. And I've had to readjust some different things and continue to move forward, which is what I was saying in the blog that I was writing earlier, that even though sometimes we travel down the road and, we get kind of turned around and things don't seem how we want it, we got to dust it off and reconfigure and replan, and we got to move on again. And that's what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Caller ending in 7302. Name and where you're calling from?
It's Destiny, and I'm from Denver. So my dreams for 2020, well, I was really excited. I usually go to a lot of concerts during the year, and the fact that I was going to go see Tesla for my first time was super exciting, so I was super excited about that. And then, kind of like what Tawanda said, I heard about this pandemic and realized, if I still want to continue singing and doing all this stuff with music and concerts, then I'm going to have to go to school and figure out how to make it happen for myself.
Very good. Very good. So it sounds like you guys have really positive outlooks on this, and I think that that's really important. Keeping a positive outlook is pretty much the number one thing that's going to keep you going through all of this. So we're going to go through the 10 survival techniques, and number one, here is the subject. It is budgeting, planning how much you need to survive. Now I'm going to ask you guys, think about it for a second. Do you budget, and have you had to budget because of the current state of the country? Corinne, go first.
Yeah, I definitely had to budget because my income did change. So I had to adjust. I had to just be more resourceful and try to save as much as I could.
Okay. And how do you plan your budget?
Based on my needs, basically. So as long as my needs are met, then everything else I know will fall into place.
Have you had to cut back in any kind of way?
I was already on a budget before it started, the pandemic started, so I had already cut back. So I guess not so much just because I had already started, so that part didn't affect me as much. I just maybe was more thoughtful about how I use things because, everyone was saying that things were going to run out, so I was just mindful in that type of way.
Okay. What about you, Tawanda?
I think that I was on the call a few weeks ago talking about budgeting and finance. I'm not sure if you were hosting that call or not, but I don't so much live on a budget per se. However, I am extremely conservative, and I've learned a long time ago just to get the different things that I need because what's more important to me is building business and investing in things that I actually need. Even though the coronavirus has taken over and made a lot of us sit in the house. I haven't been affected, thank God, in reference to business and income because I work from home, just like Corinne mentioned, and actually things have drastically increased because so much is definitely happening. So I'm very thankful that I didn't have that type of situation to be affected. However, I'm still mindful that because this thing is still not over and things are changing by the day, that there's so much uncertainty. So I'm still being very cautious and being very conservative. I get the things that I need because I focus on the future and not just really today.
Okay. Destiny?
So yeah, well, I used to go to so many events and so many things like that. I really never got the chance to budget. Well, I wanted to budget, and I always said I would, but I never got the chance to. So I'm so much younger than you guys, so I'm learning now what it takes to budget. Since the coronavirus has started, I have to think about, how I'm going to pay for what I'm doing, and I have to keep a better track of a budget.
Mm-hmm. Have you had to cut back?
Yeah, definitely. Since things are closing now and whatever, I've definitely cut back. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. For myself, I have since I had to take over the finances when my husband passed away, I've had a budget. So prior to 2020, I had a budget, but I have definitely had to cut back. Not so much for a lack of money, but because everything was shut down, kind of like what Destiny was saying. I used to go and, do my little self-care routine, get my eyebrows done, get my, nails done, whatever. And I couldn't do that anymore. Not because there wasn't the funds to do it, but because, everything was shut down. So the cutting back was sort of like a forced situation.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to move on to number 2. And number 2 is to prioritize. The first question under prioritizing is, what expenses are the most important to you? What can you do without, and what can go on the back burner? So we're going to start with Corinne. What expenses are the most important to you? What can you do without, and what can go on the back burner?
The most important would definitely be my home. So paying my rent, first and foremost, then paying for my utilities. What could be put on and I need the internet. It's survival actually, in my phone. But what could be put on the back burner would be probably, buying clothes that can be put on the back burner, and I can go without makeup.
Okay. Is there anything that you can do without completely?
Makeup. I can do without makeup. Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Tawanda?
That is a good question, and like I said, I have to be conservative. So what's important, of course, is having a place to stay, getting around, have to have a vehicle and a cell phone. What can I cut back on? Travel, shopping, and spending so much money in the grocery store. Oh, who's laughing? Oh, okay. So, like sometimes we can go to the grocery store and get like the basic things that you need, and then sometimes you want to kind of splurge. But yeah, I don't have to do all that. I'm just really getting what is actually important.
Mhm. That's why it's bad for me to go to the grocery store when I'm hungry, because I get everything that I do not need. Okay, so what can you do without, and what can go on the back burner?